Big oddities in nature tend to get noticed. But sometimes it takes a list to showcase the events that deserve more attention. Indeed, some are so strange that they seem fictional, like the air patch that wipes data and the migration of trillions of rocks across the ocean's surface. For those who like their strange times a little bit more threatening, there is a toxic sea and the first earthquake that, boomeranged. Lonar Lake in India resembles most other lakes. You know, kind of round and filled with water. But Lonar, which was created by a meteorite strike 50,000 years ago, recently did something that set it apart from the rest. In June 2020, the water was dull and normal one day and flamingo pink the next. At the moment, the vivid flip remains a mystery. The leading theory suggests that several factors combined to create the color. A drop in the water level made the lake saltier and the days were also hot. This mix of saltiness and heat triggered a bloom of algae. More specifically, a kind that often turns red. Only in this case, the bloom went nuts and the overgrowth caused the flamingo moment. During another crazy 2022, someone guaranteed that few cascades in Australia were running in reverse. News teams explored and found a trace of legitimacy. The cascades were not switching like a film in rewind mode. In any case, for each situation, cloudy water streamed back over top the head of the bluffs. As supernatural as it appeared, the entire thing was a stunt of the wind. Hardly any days prior to the cascades got on, Sydney and the encompassing regions experienced tempest conditions. The breezes were sufficiently able to flood waterways and trigger departure orders for some families. However, their speed, crying at around 70 km/h, 45 miles per hour, was additionally adequately amazing to clear the course of the falls the incorrect way. When the climate settled, the cascades continued their old look. Settled among Africa and Arabia, the Red Sea is an industrious worker. Because of the Suez Canal, this is one of the world's most intensely utilized transportation paths. The air is seriously dirtied and the prime suspects are clear. In reality, modern transportation and the serious utilization of non-renewable energy sources in the zone are not actually filling the air with daisies. Lamentably, the Red Sea is an industrious worker in another manner too. In 2017, when analysts estimated various gases in the locale, the math didn't make any sense. In any event, when they considered the gross contamination brought about by people, the northern aspect of the Red Sea had multiple times a lot of ethane and propane. The main clarification was that both ozone-harming substances are normally delivered from repositories underneath the ocean. The sheer volume that air pockets to the surface make the Red Sea a characteristic yet significant wellspring of air contamination. Every year, a haze of sand leaves the Sahara Desert in Africa and heads out over the Atlantic Ocean. The specialized term for this residue rabbit is the Saharan air layer (SAL). In any case, in 2020, the tuft was huge to such an extent that researchers collapsed to wonder and called the current year's cloud Godzilla. The crest was the greatest since the first SAL occasion was logged 20 years back. For reasons unknown, it got together to 70% more sand, and notwithstanding its size and weight figured out how to go for a more noteworthy separation than other Sahara tufts. For the most part, the miss face plant in the Atlantic Ocean. Godzilla ghosted through the climate for 8,000 kilometers, 5,000 miles, and arrived at the United States. 2 years ago, the weather turned crappy above Brazil. Some people might have appreciated the thunder and lightning, because it was Halloween night after all. But one bolt took things to the extreme. When it cut through the atmosphere, it ran from the Atlantic coast into Argentina. All told, it measured over 700 kilometers, 440 miles, long. The mega flash was long enough to link Chicago with Toronto, or even Washington, D.C., with Boston. Satellite technology confirmed that this was a new record. The previous champion cinched Oklahoma in 2007 and measured 320 kilometers, 200 miles, long. Interestingly, neither holds the record for the most enduring flash. That bolt appeared over northern Argentina in 2019 and remained visible for 17 seconds. No one is contending that Australia is the ruler of peculiar biological systems. Yet, in 2020, another revelation astounded even the most salted specialists. The mainland has all the earmarks of being encircled by something discovered no place else on the planet, an organization of submerged waterways covering more than 10,000 kilometers, 200 miles of coastline. While the wonder isn't obscure, the scale is phenomenal. This by itself makes the framework one of the most critical finds in oceanography. The submerged streams are conceivable in light of the fact that their water is unique. Being more saltic and heavier than the sea's slosh, they additionally react to the seasons. They are more vulnerable in summer, yet during winter, the falls turn denser and sink to the ocean bottom, where they stream all the more emphatically. The name may be dull, yet Volcano F is the wellspring of something astonishing. This submerged spring of gushing lava embraces the ocean bottom close to Tonga and Egypt like clockwork. At the point when that occurs, pumice rocks are delivered, and that is when things get interesting. In 2019, Volcano F burped so much pumice that the gliding rocks shaped a pontoon the size of 20 football fields. For almost a year, the pontoon coasted over the sea to Australia. By 2020, trillions of these stones fired, cleaning up along 1,300 kilometers, 807 miles of coastline, coming from Queensland to New South Wales. However, that was not all. On the way, each rock got creatures like barnacles, corals, and green growth. The interminable swaying mass resembled a transport bringing newcomers of reef-building critters to the ambushed Great Barrier Reef. The occasion was not a one-time bargain, either. Spring of gushing lava F sends a pumice pontoon to the reef, generally at regular intervals, for a genuinely necessary lift. The Earth is a ginormous magnet. Its magnetic field protects the planet's atmosphere and human technology from the sun's particles. But this protective bubble has a weak spot. Called the SAW, the South Atlantic Anomaly. This is the one place where solar particles can enter the atmosphere and mess with expensive equipment. The SAW covers a large area over South America and the southern Atlantic Sea. Any space station or equipment that passes through this region runs the risk of data wipes or hardware damage. For this reason, NASA often switches off satellites that travel through the SAW until they are back under the proverbial magnetic umbrella. During certain years, in February, a spectacular sight occurs in Yosemite National Park. There is a high waterfall with a delicate drop called Horsetail Fall. For most of the time, it looks like 1,000 other waterfalls, but for a few weeks at the beginning of the year, The transformation is so remarkable that tourists flock to the site. Some call the event a fiery fall, and it is easy to see why. The water seems to have mysteriously vanished. In its place, orange lava pours over the cliff, glowing with heat, steam, and fire. This optical illusion lasts for about 10 minutes and is caused by the setting sun's position in the sky. Once the sun dips below a certain point, the waterfall returns to normal. An ordinary quake is terrible enough. Yet, one that abruptly pivots and runs over a similar territory. Unquestionably more terrible. Before, something like this appeared to be inconceivable. At that point it occurred in August 2016. No one saw the game-changing occasion since it happened profound under the ocean. A 2020 examination found the peculiar shudder when scientists investigated the information from undersea seismometers. Nothing about the seismic tremors improvement was typical. Since it was conceived from a basic issue, the Romanche crack zone close to the equator, it ought to have been a reading material quake. Rather, it strangely delivered the world's originally affirmed boomerang shake. This was no hiccup. It was a significant tremor with an extent of 7.1. Considerably all the more alarming, when it pivoted the speed expanded. The quakes hustled back towards the focal point of the deficiency with speeds timing as much as 6 kilometers for each second, 3.7 miles every second,